My advice to parents is keep them in school.
The Ontario government, the one that's basically never in office, just told your kids their grades are now tied to showing up to class. 15% in grades 9 and 10, 10% in grades 11 and 12. And it's peak hypocrisy. Let's dig in. The same government that shut Ontario schools for the absolute longest amount of time of any developed nation on earth during COVID is now acting like attendance is suddenly the most important thing in education. Give me a break.
What is your advice to parents if they find their kids going to a hockey or soccer tournament where the games start on a Friday?
My advice to parents is keep them in school. Education should be their priority.
Apparently, education is the priority, says the Ford government under Education Minister Paul Calandra. And under these new rules, if your teenager misses too many unexcused days, it's coming right off of their report card. They're literally putting a price tag on presence.
Just over 40% of Ontario high school students meet attendance standards. And it's getting worse. When students aren't in class, they fall behind and classrooms fall apart. For years, attendance and participation didn't count. Students could drift in, tune out, and still pass. That ends now. That's why new legislation will make attendance and participation part of final grades. Showing up matters. Participating makes it count. Showing up isn't optional. Real standards, real results.
There's another glaring contradiction happening as the government now says every day in the classroom is so important that attendance counts toward your grade. Yet in Ontario, medical officers of health are unlawfully suspending students from in-person learning when their parents refuse to disclose their personal, private medical information to the state, namely their vaccine status. So hundreds of thousands of kids have been, and likely will continue to be, kept out of the classroom because of a framework the province has chosen to keep in place. So which is it? Is every day in class essential, or is it still acceptable for government policy to remove students from learning for upwards of 20 calendar days at a time? But let's rewind, shall we? Because while Minister Calandra admits that attendance has collapsed post-pandemic, perhaps that's their own fault. During the pandemic, these same politicians kept kids out of the classroom for 135 days in Ontario alone. That's longer than almost anywhere else in Canada and among the longest lockdown in the developed world. They forced remote learning that parents and teachers screamed were failing kids. They ignored the learning loss, the mental health crisis, and the social damage it all caused. They told us it was for their safety and for their health.
I don't think schools are unsafe at all. I think they're ready to open tomorrow. I think we have masks. The teachers are vaccinated. They should have been prioritized earlier to be boosted. I think healthy teachers aren't at risk of contracting severe COVID. We know our kids aren't at risk. I don't understand why the Ford government keeps making this decision at the cost of our children.
I've seen them suffer academically tremendously. I've seen them suffer mentally. And my children are privileged children. I cannot imagine every time I look at low-income housing or other areas where there's a single parent trying to work, maybe working outside the home, leaving young children by themselves.
Education was put on the back burner, and now all of a sudden teenagers whose education was disrupted for years are expected to catch up as though nothing happened, told that showing up matters all of a sudden.
Well, I don't think anyone's abandoned. We had some of the strictest regulations in the entire world. You know, I was accused of being the toughest leader on the mandates. I'm going to be cautious.
This same government created a generation of kids who got used to staying home. The same government that told parents, just do online school, it'll be fine, is now docking marks because kids aren't physically in the building. All of this also begs the question if growing absenteeism has anything to do with the radical gender ideology that's permeating schools across the province and increasingly across Canada. Parents are raising concerns about what's being taught, what's being kept from them, and the growing influence of gender ideology in our classrooms. If you want to see more on this topic and stay informed about what's happening in schools across the country, please head to stopclassroomgrooming.com. There you can support our work and sign up so that you never miss a report on this topic. That's stopclassroomgrooming.com. These new rules don't magically fix education, a system that has seen a mass exodus post-pandemic. The new rules may look tough and sound tough, but it's a problem that lies squarely with this government, a problem they helped create while pretending to care about kids' learning. Let's be real, chronic absenteeism is a real issue and a lot of parents are struggling. A lot of kids checked out after years of chaos. But the solution here isn't just to slap a percentage on attendance and call it a day while ignoring everything that came before. Where was this energy when schools were closed for months on end? Where was the urgency to reopen classrooms once the data showed that kids were never these dangerous super spreaders that panicked hypochondriacs and conflicted experts insisted they were? Children were suffering in isolation at home, falling behind academically, and facing a mental health crisis. Yet this government stayed silent. They were nowhere. They were busy keeping everything shut down long after other places had opened up. And now they want credit for finally taking education seriously. It's just more of the same old pattern. Government creates a mess, kids and families pay the price, and then government comes in with a heavy-handed solution that gives them more power over your children. They don't want to fix any root causes. They want to look like they're doing something while parents and teachers ultimately deal with the fallout. And again, the hypocrisy here is just astounding. These politicians love working from home. They love hybrid schedules. They love to lecture us on what to do while they're rarely even in Queen's Park. The Ford government is on track to have sat in the legislature a mere 53 days. It's one of the shortest non-election years in decades. For the past 50 years, the legislature has sat an average of 84 days, which means that Ontarians are barely getting 2/3 of the legislative work they've historically expected. But heaven forbid a 16-year-old misses class without a note. The double standard is disgusting. Parents, I want to hear from you on this one. Are you okay with 10 to 15% of your kid's grade being decided by whether they're physically in the seat every single day? What about families with real challenges, illness, mental health problems, transportation issues, or even just the after effects of years of disrupted schooling and learning? And what about the kids who wanted to show up during COVID only to be told the building was closed anyway? This policy comes on the heels of the biggest educational disruption in modern history, one that this government prolonged. Look, I wholeheartedly agree that accountability in school is important and showing up does matter, but you don't get to destroy that in-person education for years and then act shocked when kids don't treat school like it's valuable. You don't get to be the reason attendance collapsed and then punish the kids for it. So Ontario parents, students, and teachers, drop a comment and tell me what you think. Are you for tying grades to attendance after everything that has happened the last few years? Or does this just reek of the exact same government double standard we've been dealing with for that same amount of time and arguably longer? Hit that like button if you agree this hypocrisy needs to be called out, and share this with every parent in your group chat. And subscribe if you want more straight talk on what's actually happening to education in this province, because nobody else is saying it. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini, and thanks for watching.